so much. The program still very much alive here on independent television, and it's still the mood of celebration in some parts of the country, and also the mood of acceptance in some parts of the country. That's the beauty of democracy. Some take it the way they are saying it, while some say no, it shouldn't be that way. Anyway, we did tell you that the Independent National Electoral Commission has declared President Muhammadu Buhari of the APC, that's the All Progressives Congress, as the winner of last Saturday's presidential election in the country. And of course, Inec Chairman Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, who declared the results at about 4:39 a.m. this morning, said President Muhammadu Buhari pulled a total vote of 15,191,847 votes to defeat his closest rival, that's Alhaji Atiku Abubakar of the People's Democratic Party, the PDP. And of course, it is told that the PDP candidates pulled 11,262,978 votes in the election. Professor Mahmoud said the certificates of return will be issued to President Muhammadu Buhari today. That is by 2 p.m. This afternoon. And of course, President Muhammadu Buhari's victory came in 19 states, where he won the election, while Alhaji Atiku Abubakar won the election in 17 states, the Federal Capital Territory, the FCT. So it's a question of just to state that PNB took the lead ahead of Atiku Abubakar. We are so privileged to have two gentlemen this morning and a lady in our midst to further look at the issues, to look at the presidential election, and also maybe set the templates for the next election, which is on the 3rd of March. And of course, we do know that the State House of Assembly's election come up on that day. And in some other states, they are going to be having the governorship election too. And we are so privileged to have Dr. Lugat Sado, and he's of the Department of Sociology and Anthropology, University of Benin. And he featured as an ad hoc staff with the Independent National Electoral Commission in this just concluded election. Doctor, you're welcome to this program this morning on RIT.
Thank you very much, and good morning, my people.
And of course, we have Dr. Mrs. Stella Omonigo, a very formidable member of the Faculty of Arts, University of Benin, and also formidable member of ASU, University of Benin. She's also a lecturer with the Department of Foreign Languages, the Department of the Faculty of Arts, University of Benin. Madam, you're welcome to this program this morning on RTV.
Thank you very much. Good morning, viewers at home.
And we have Mahmoud Ahmed. Yes, with the long cap, you can tell that he's on the mode of celebration. Ahmed, you're welcome to this program this morning on RTV.
Thank you. Good morning, viewers.
Okay. All right, let me come to Dr. Lugat Sado. You were part and parcel of the election. As a matter of fact, you featured as an ad hoc staff. Now, some people say that the result of the election, going by the reaction that people are giving, that it seems not to be the reflection of what actually happened on Saturday. We don't know how you may want to make your contributions on that.
Wow, thank you very much, Mr. Evans. You know, I could only be in one place at a time. So I would say that from my point of view, what I noticed was that people came out not as much as we wanted them to come out to participate in the election. So there was a lot of voters' apathy in this election. So perhaps people were expecting large numbers in terms of accredited voters, but the truth is that most Nigerians in the southern part of Nigeria stayed back at home. Did not come out.
That may be contradictory to some other opinions.
By the records, for instance, Edo has about 1.something million registered voters. In this election, those accredited were just about 500 and something thousand. That gives you a shortfall of about 1.something million. Those people were at home or probably somewhere and did not come out to vote. In Delta, for instance, in Abia, for instance, accredited voters were 1.7, registered voters were 1.7 million, and only just about 500,000 or so also came out to vote. So the question is, people had expectations that the result is going to go this way, yet they sat back at home waiting for angels to vote for them. So I think that what you saw is a reflection of the intention of the people, especially in southern part of Nigeria. That's the way I see it.
Okay, you mean the result that we are seeing now is the intention of the people?
Yes, they didn't come out to vote. People stayed back at home, waiting for angels to vote. I can't not overemphasize this. I think that it is time that Nigerians began to correct these abnormalities. You can't be wishing, you can't sit back at home and expect, you know, there were lots of jingles telling people that, look, come out and vote. In fact, if you don't vote, you give those who want to rig the opportunity to do what? To rig. And, you know, let's leave that now. But the point here is that people gave those who manipulated this process the opportunity to manipulate the process because they stayed back at home and did not exercise their fundamental rights.
All right, Dr. Mrs. Omonigo, perhaps you may feel differently about this because it is on record that this election is probably one of the biggest elections in the continent of Africa. I mean, a situation whereby we had about 91 political parties registering, and of course about 75 presidential candidates, and about 84 million registered voters in this election. And still, we still say that their party was low.
Yes, I want to agree with Dr. Lucas Sado that actually the attendance was very low, but there's another dimension to it. Most of the polling units did not use the card reader. In fact, they claimed that the card reader failed, or for one reason or the other, they didn't use the card reader. And
where
so they
did
used,
you vote? Where are you talking about now?
I voted in Delta.
In Delta State?
Yes.
Okay.
And I can tell you, I can assure you that most of the polling units in Delta did not use the card reader. And where you don't use the card reader, there is every tendency that there will be rigging there. And that means that he would like to fill up the spaces of those who stayed back at home. So Nigerians should not complain. We chose our leaders, and we are going to enjoy our leaders together.
Now, if we're talking about the situation in Delta State now, which I think PDP, the opposition party in this election, won in Delta State. So who rigged who now? No,
I'm just talking about it generally, you know. If you look at all the number of accredited voters compared to the number of registered voters, you see that there was a large gap of people who stayed back and not voting. And let me tell you the fact, if you stayed back at home, be assured, be very, very sure that your space had been used to vote.
But you cannot also speak generally because you only voted in Delta State.
Yes.
So it's possible.
But we saw that also with the numbers, the records of you know, registered voters and accredited voters in almost all the states. So it was all it cost across the whole nation. And I want to also say that when people are complaining that the results are not the reflections of what they felt they did, then there is a problem. You know, somebody posted something on the social media yesterday that when a leader is winning and the people are complaining, that means that there is something wrong somewhere and it should be looked into.
All right, Ahmed Mahmoud, I saw you nodding your head. Was that in acceptance of what you said, or totally not accepting what has been said?
No, I'm in total disagreement. First of all, let me congratulate President Buhari on his re-election and the good people of Nigeria for putting their trust in him to guide us for another 4 years. And let me come back to my good doctors. We are making general statements for specific instances, and this is not something I would expect us to be discussing at this point in time. If you voted in Delta, you can talk specifically about your polling unit, or if you are a returning officer or an Inec staff in one polling unit, you can speak specifically to the problems that you encountered in that particular place. You cannot talk about the generality of Nigerians. Nigerians have come out to popularly elect the leader that they want. This has been expressed in 15 million votes that have been counted and confirmed by Inec. So for us now to be hatching eggs that are not there is really very disappointing. Popular democracy is the expression of the will of the maximum number of people coming out to exercise their franchise. And that is what we saw on Saturday. Of course, minority will have their say, but majority will have their way. This voter apathy that we are talking about, statistically, it ran across the whole country. Even Kano State that returned 1.4 million votes. The registered voters are 5 million plus. Lagos State similar, Edo State the same thing. So we need to appreciate the progresses that we've made. We need to understand that. We need to understand that progress is incremental, success is incremental, democracy is a practice. It's not something that is done and concluded one day. We have come a long way. Inec has made giant strides. We need to understand the magnitude of the logistical nightmare that Inec overcame to put this election in place. We're talking about 192 polling units nationwide. It is not a joke by any standard. If anybody was paying attention to the ballot papers when they came, INEC went into minute detail in expressing the will of the people to vote. You saw the local government address there, you saw the ward, the polling units, and the numbers. So any vote that is taken away from Edo State, you will know that it came for Edo State.
Okay, but you see, some of the statements, going around now is that what INEC did in some polling units, specifically somewhere in Enugu State, in Abia State, and even in Lagos State, whereby a huge amount of the election was cancelled, simply because the card reader was not used at other times, that the card readers failed. Now, some say that those were the strongholds of the PDP, that the best that would have happened was to order for a rerun instead of outrightly cancelling the elections in those places. I don't know how you feel about that.
I feel, like Madam pointed out before we started this program, that there is a lot of corrections that need to be made. There are a lot of things that went wrong. I do not feel they were intentionally made wrong. I believe that INEC tried its best, but there's always a margin of error. As my learned academicians here will agree with me, when you are doing something of this magnitude, there has to be a reasonable margin of error. Unfortunately, it has disenfranchised people. That is entirely unacceptable. Under any circumstance, we will not accept that one vote is not calculated. But unfortunately, that is what we have seen. I do not want to believe it was intentional. I want to believe INEC tried their best, and those issues, there's going to be an electoral audit where INEC, of course, will sit down and see where corrections can be made and if adjustments will be made so that these votes that may not have been counted or these people who were not properly recorded will have another chance to do so. I cannot speak on behalf of INEC, but I hope that there will be a mechanism to correct those mistakes.
Can I quickly respond to him? Yes, I just want to give an information concerning what he just said. You know, INEC made some rules, and I expect INEC to follow the rules. One of the rules of INEC is that wherever any violence is recorded, that polling unit should be cancelled. Now, we had a lot of places where there were cases of violence, and INEC went ahead to release the result of this polling unit. Let me give you an example. I'll give you 3 places. Okay. In Lagos, for example, we had this video trending all over about Agor Palace. Yeah. We had another major one at Delta, Udu local government. We had another one at Ethiop East. And we found out that results were collated and accepted for these polling units. There is a problem there. That means that, in fact, the one of the Rivers, for example, we had a lot of stories about Rivers, ad hoc staff being killed and everything, and they went ahead to release this result. I feel that INEC was so much in a hurry to release this result. I felt they should have investigated and probably, organized a rerun before talking about releasing the final results. That's my own take about that's the information I wanted to give you. Okay.
Now, look at you worked as an ad hoc staff in this just completed election, and of course you talked about voter apathy the other time, and you also said that it's not a true reflection of because I really want you to expatiate on that. At the time, I thought you were saying that it's not a true reflection of the election. At other times, I also thought that you said that it's a true reflection. I want you to expatiate more.
No, I was very clear in my submission. That's why I was a little bit surprised that my friend here was defending the government. When I was very explicit, I said the people decided what they wanted by staying back at home. And so nobody has a right to say that the election was not a true reflection of the voting pattern. That was what I said, and I was very clear on that. What I'm saying, and I want to re-emphasize, is this, that look, if you have a right to vote, and you stayed back at home and you decided not to vote, you have no right to complain that your wish was not carried out. You should enjoy or endure whatever comes out of that electoral process. I mean, there are no two ways about that. That must be established. Now, again, my observation is clear. The people who came out to vote had the opportunity to vote. However, there were pockets of disturbances. Disturbances of people who had intentions to vote, violence, gunshots, and all ballot box snatching. I mean, this is no news. I'm sure everyone from either side of the divide will agree that there were violences. In fact, if you watch the presentation of results in a collation center, you will notice that virtually all the state collation officers noted that they cancelled one or two results because of violence or non-use of smart card reader. Yeah. So, I mean, it's on national news. It's on the global scene that we had pockets of violence spread across the entire country. Whether it's in Lagos, whether it's in Rivers, whether it's in Bayelsa. My only concern, and I need to say this on television, is that how come the two major presidential candidates are Fulanis? How come we didn't record violence in the north? And then we had lots of violence in the south. What was it in it? What was in it for us? I mean, as a sociologist, I'm trying to analyze the implication. Could it be that because a particular party or a candidate had a stronghold in the south, that was why violence was stimulated in the south? How come card reader wasn't used in some part of the north, like we were told? People were stuffing ballot papers, and the videos are trending, and yet most times,
do you have evidence?
Just a moment.
No. Wait, because it won't just be right for us to just.
I mean, we need to moderate our speech and the things that we say.
Hold on.
When you say,
we need to be moderate.
When you say that there were violence, acts of violence in Nigeria, is that new to you? So my friend from APC, are you just hearing it?
How can you with the same, in the same sentence? In the same sentence, he addressed a question to me.
Yeah.
So I'm responding.
Yes.
In the same sentence, you said there were pockets of violence across the country. Then you now reduce it to north and south. I'm disappointed that you would even make such a statement on TV.
Good.
How can you possibly say there was violence across the country, then you now start talking about north and south? Nigerians came out to vote for their leader, and they have voted. You cannot come out and be making inflammatory statements without any evidence to back up the things that you are saying.
No, when we say, because
you cannot talk about ballot stuff.
Just let me conclude. The point I have made is very clear. If you need evidence, you can search out for the evidence on that. But the point I'm making is that there were cases, the chief collation officers of these states noted these on television, and you are here defending it. The point here is, we had this violence more in the south, and I said that. And I said, look, in Rivers, how many units, how many wards, how many local government results got cancelled in Rivers? In Delta State, we had incidences. How many people died in Rivers?
About 21.
How many people died in Delta State? Does that make sense to you? Is
the history of Rivers and Delta State, the history of Delta and Rivers State has always been violent.
I disagree with you.
The history of Rivers State has always been violent.
Let him make his
You see, I have not come
but I will appreciate that
to debate with Ahmed. I am here to state my observation. I am sure Ahmed did not follow me to where I went to. Neither did he watch the television with me. So please allow me express myself. And if you do want to make your remark, please make your remark and go straight to the point.
Now, Dr. Sado,
I do not want to join issues with you.
No, this is not a personal.
Now, having said that, I think I need to be clear on this. That look, whether or not we like the situation or not, the elections have been held. You are asking us what's our take based on the outcome of the elections and the activities that will follow after the election. Naturally, whoever is not satisfied with the outcome of the result will go to court. I mean, that is the practice here. And nobody is going to, it has been done. The results have been announced. and the president has been declared, and he is president-elect. There's nothing anybody can do about that. He has no problem whatsoever. We are talking about the process. And you see, if we must get our acts right or our records right, we must re-examine the process in order to correct it. Every now and then, each time we conduct elections in Nigeria, we keep saying that in the next election we'll correct it. In the next election we'll correct it. The truth is that since 1998, when we started this electoral process, till date, we are still on the same issue. So my take is this. I think that INEC is listening. INEC should re-examine her procedures. INEC should stand and stay with her rules and regulations for election. INEC should announce results based on their rules and regulations. And if, for any reason, they have reasons to cancel elections or cancel any result, they should go ahead without any fear or favor. As far as I'm concerned, the elections have been held. And like I said, the election is a true reflection of those who voted. I said that from the very beginning. Whoever did not vote has no right to complain that this election did not go his way or did not go her way. That's my take.
Now, Dr. Mrs. Omonigo, there is something that's also people, we talk about in this election. Take, for example, in Edo South, Edo State here in Edo South, we saw Honorable Matthew Rogide winning the election to defeat his opponents of the APC. And of course, we also saw some other, defeats and some other victories and all that. Now, for some people, it is really a true reflection of the wish of the people. Now, when people begin to calculate that, no, this is not the reflection, I really don't understand.
Let me quickly say that we're not here to determine whether it's the true reflection of people's vote or not. But all I want to say is that I know that there were some problems, there were some challenges that INEC really needs to look into actually, so that there will be a change in the future. And I think this discussion should be based on those, pocket holes that were here and there.
I agree.
So this is not the time for us. No, please. This is not the time. This is not the time for us to start fighting ourselves because we are all Nigerians. But people should be allowed to express themselves. It's so unfortunate that we're attacking ourselves here. I would like to point out the problems I saw, and INEC should look into it before the next elections. Because you know what, we had the major problem of logistics in this election. And I felt that INEC had these shortcomings in that area because they had 4 years to plan for these elections. Unfortunately, even when they asked them on channels, they asked the INEC chairman, Professor Mahmoud, if he was ready. He said he was 100% ready. My question was, why was he so categorical when he had not checked with his, his staff to know that everything was put in place? We weren't too happy with him, but he apologized to Nigerians, and we're very grateful about that. And then the next time, when it was not time for election, we found out that for some polling units, for example, my mom called me that in a polling unit they were supposed to they brought ballot papers for senatorial and House of Representative, and they did not bring for the presidential. And then they told them that they were very sorry that they could go on with the elections. And village people wanted to go on with the elections. But thank God for learned people there. 2 of them stood their ground and said that they will not vote until they brought the presidential ballot papers. They said it took them till 2 p.m. for them to start voting, when they now started protesting. And of course, they started recording on their phones and putting on social media. That was when they now brought 2 booklets instead of 5 booklets. I just want us to point out that. Then we also had the problem of security. Security was a major challenge. What I saw and what I experienced was that security was compromised in this election. Now, if you looked at the videos that channels, play, because channels was just live, going to different polling units, showing us what was going on there. I found out that some security men were watching while these ballot box snatchers carried away ballot boxes.
But there was one we saw in Lagos.
Yes.
We saw a certain policeman.
Yes, only one policeman.
I'm saying that because you just said that security was compromised.
No, that's why I emphasized. Nigerians saw it's only one policeman against 5 boys.
It's about 3 boys, not 5.
I still saw the video this morning. 2 were opposite them. 3 were carrying the ballot papers. 2 were opposite them, destroying the ballot papers. So, and it was only one policeman, helpless. I didn't even see him with any arm. you know. So I felt that that was too risky, even for that policeman.
Sure.
It was too risky. Then what about the adult staff that were killed? In Rivers, for example, I saw that youth copper in the pool of her blood. It was so unfortunate. So I want to say that Inec should provide good security for her staff and also for the electorate. You know, that was why they put that law in place that whenever there was violence, it should be cancelled. You know why? Because when there is violence, people will be scared. Electorates will be scared away. You know, and that was, and I feel that was actually the major reason why they used these arms, guns, you know, to scare away people. Where I voted, there were a series of gunshots and everything, but after running away, we'll still come back to vote.
Okay. Now, Ahmed Mahmoud, you see, when some people say that there are challenges in this election, take for example issues that borders on the stronghold of the PDP. The vice presidential candidate of the PDP had to come up on television yesterday to, you know, express, you know, his worry over the cancellation of elections in Enugu State, in Anambra State too. And of course, we also saw that in Lagos State. And most people believe that these, you know, are strongholds of the PDP, only for Inec to cancel elections there. Don't you think there's also an issue with Inec too?
There are issues all over the country. First of all, if we establish or if we agree that Inec is independent, we may be able to look at some of these issues from the proper perspective. If there are issues like Madam pointed out in a polling unit, Inec has set the standard that when there is violence, the results in that place will be cancelled. I'm not sure if she's entirely aware of the minute detail, but the results in those places were not accepted. Because one of the minimum standards is that both agents of both parties must agree to the results. And if that is not the case, those results cannot be recorded and will not be captured. Now, to address the specific issue of what the contending party, Peter Obi, said, those areas that are new to the democratic practice of opposition, you will definitely see acts of violence. We have had places where the president-elect, currently the president, was weak in the last election, but they have come out to express their readiness to support him moving forward. So it is not unusual to see, unfortunately, acts of violence in the expression of the democratic will. But we must continue to try and bring it to the minimum. The issue of policemen that were unfortunately seen trying to stop voters from stealing polling boxes, destroying ballot boxes. The policemen and the security agencies that come to polling units are there as observers. They are not there, they don't come armed, and they cannot intervene at the risk of their lives. We have I will repeat again, 192,000 polling units. Our police strength is barely 100,000. Even if we put one in each polling unit, they will not still be enough. So we have to understand, that's why you saw some of these places were manned by road safety and civil defense and so on and so forth, because they don't even have the numerical strength to man everything. But going forward, these are issues.
Are you trying to say that the issue of security, because it was not only the police that manned polling units.
Yes.
We had the immigration, they came out, even the army, though they were not seen at polling units, but they were somehow part of.
That's exactly, you are making my point, that police alone are not sufficient to man all the polling units. That's why they had to be augmented with road safety, defense, immigration, and the rest of those paramilitary services that you just mentioned, because they are not adequate. And these are issues that we need to address going forward, so that the sanctity and the security of those polling units will be guaranteed, and to make sure that people don't feel scared when they are coming out to vote. There are a lot of issues. There are too many issues. We need, going forward, we need to take a proper audit. We need to be sincere with ourselves. This is a conversation that needs to go on for the next 4 years. And we need to put our leaders to the fire. Tell them this is the minimum standard that we want. No life must be lost. Voter disenfranchisement is unacceptable. Security must be guaranteed. And we accept that these are the minimum standards we must accept going forward. But we must speak as Nigerians. We must speak understanding that we have differences, and we can only move forward when we accept these differences and try and come together to work on the places that we are making mistakes.
Okay, look at Sado. The candidate of the PDP, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, has expressed his reservations against the announcement of PMB as the winner of the election. Now, there are words that he must go to court, and some say that he doesn't need to go to court. Now, do you see the possibility of Atiku Abubakar going to court? Or would you want to suggest that he should go to court?
I wouldn't. Personally, I wouldn't even suggest that he should go to court. I think that Nigerians who were willing to vote have expressed their minds on who they want to be their president. Now, if you ask me, I would suggest that, look, Atiku Abubakar should re-strategize for the next election if he's interested in 2023. That's my take as a person. The reasons are obvious. I do not want any unnecessary hit-up of our polity and judiciary anymore. Because you do know, as it is in Nigeria, that once the legal process starts, the incumbent or whoever is sitting on that position will really not do anything until he or she is sure that the position is guaranteed. So if the legal process goes on for like 1 year, 2 years, or 3 years, it means for that period we will be having skeletal governance, in my opinion. That's one reason I should think that he shouldn't bother. But again, I also think that he's of age, and that if he feels that his fundamental rights have been trampled upon, and he's sure he will get the desired representation of a victory in court, of course, he should express his will. One thing I will encourage him is that he should tell his supporters not to take up any act of violence or to provoke the system or hit up the system whatsoever. There are laid down procedures, and he should follow the laid down procedures. And if for any reason, like I keep saying, that look, whoever loses in an election must understand that, see, it is a win-win situation. That you didn't win today does not mean that you will not win tomorrow. And again, of course, the person who has won now can only rule for another 4 years. After then, the electoral process is opened up again for people to contest. So my final word on this is that as a person, I don't think he should worry himself. But if he feels otherwise, honestly, the law court is there for him. Let him hit the road and get his lawyers involved, and the process will continue. Okay. But that will slow down a lot of things in Nigeria.
All right, Dr. Omoniwa, I know you want to react,
yes,
but...
no, not to what we say. I just want to bring up another dimension to this discussion so that we don't just lay it aside. I know that some Nigerians are feeling disappointed that the results of the election did not really reflect what they feel it should be, and maybe they are discouraged about it. I think there should be a kind of awareness. No, there should be a kind of re-encouragement to Nigerians that we should not be deterred by what you are saying now. We're trying to perfect the process, and staying away, running away from a problem does not make the problem to go away. The problem will still be waiting for you for another time when you come out. So let's see how we can all come together and address this problem, and see how Inec can overcome some of these challenges, you know, before the next week's, before the next elections. And I also want to talk about the aspect of changing the format of elections in this Nigeria. Let me tell you, until we go electronic, elections will be a joke in this country. I tell you, other countries are using electronic method of voting. That is exactly what Nigeria needs. For us to be able to see the true reflection of people's intention and people's need, we need to go electronic. If we continue like this, with some ballot papers, with videos of some ballot papers being printed in the bush, and you know, so many anomalies in the system, we will not be going back, you know, forward and backward. We'll be moving in circles. But by the time we go into this electronic voting method of voting, I think it will help to improve the system of elections in this Nigeria.
Okay, let's talk about what Lugat Sadu talked about, that he won't advise Atiku Abubakar to go to court. Now, we all know that before this election, the issue of Ahmed Tanko as the new CGN coming on board was an issue, particularly with the PDP. Now, immediately after that announcement was seen, we saw the new emergence of the tribunals put together by Ahmed Tanko. Now, for some people, they see that the APC probably knew that at the end of the day, this election may want to extend into the courts. So with what has just happened now, I mean, Ahmed Tanko as the new CJN, of course, if the case starts, definitely it may skyboard into the Supreme Court and all that. Now, would you still want to say, or are you trying to look into the whole stories one more time? Would you want to look into it one more time? You
know, the last time I came on board, when we were talking about this CJN, yes, I told you, I said, this thing might be connected to the outcome of the elections. I said it. Because, you know, when you are trying to do something, you must project into the future. And from what we have seen so far, I feel that Atiku Abubakar shouldn't just bother. He shouldn't just bother. He should just accept it and, you know, in good faith, and just keep his money to himself. Because, let me tell you why I say, let me tell you, sir, I just feel that the whole system has been, you know, bastardized. Let me use that word. Sorry to use that word.
You can't say so.
Okay, no, let me, you know what? I'm so sorry. You know why? People were already complaining about the process of the change of the CJN. I'm neutral about it. But Nigerians complained about it. And immediately he came in, the first thing he did was to, you know, constitute this tribunal and everything. So, you know, I felt that it was already a planned something. There's nothing will come out of it. If you doubt it, let him go to court and we'll all see the process.
Now, Ahmed, how can we really move forward if we have this kind of mixed feelings?
So what I always say is, let us separate the fact from fiction. The fact of the matter is that the new CJN swore in members of the tribunal constituted by his predecessor. That is the fact of the matter. It had nothing to do with his own person as being the CJN.
But there were allegations that most of the judges.
No. Let's not make allegations. Let us talk about
allegations.
Let's talk about the fact. The fact is, he swore in tribunal members constituted that were already written out, and he just inherited. So that he had some kind of interference in that process is entirely wrong.
But you know.
Then, can I ask him a question?
Just hold on.
Then secondly, we are talking about expanding the democratic space. You cannot expand the democratic space by muting your voice. If Alhaji Atiku Abubakar feels anything is wrong, he should head straight to the court and highlight those problems, so that those issues can be addressed partly.
Yeah, we're talking about a court that PP is not too comfortable with, and we have some other people. Now, you said that Tanko, swore in an already constituted panel of judges put together by Nogen.
No. Separating the fact from the fiction again. Every issue that comes before the Supreme Court is decided by a panel of judges. It's not just the Chief Justice. Is he the only one that is going to sit on the matter? He must constitute a panel. Or are we not aware of this fact? So when you have a panel, they vote. You have the minority and the majority. And the reason why we are insisting that Atiku should go to the courts is because many of the electoral successes APC recorded in the first place came from the court system. Buhari is president today because of the court system. Rotimi Amechi, Governor Shomole, several of these things because we went to expand the democratic process. When the court tells you this should not have been done this way, it should be done this way, everybody takes dressing.
Yeah, Ahmed,
so let us allow...
What people are saying now, are you sure? There seems to be this loss of hope that if we can still have that with the APC government.
As long as you wake up in the morning and the sun shines, there is hope. If you have a bias towards a system, regardless of what comes from that system, you will be biased. Let the people who don't feel that bias try the system. Inec banned APC from participating in Rivers State election. Heaven did not fall. Come out and exercise your rights. If you feel there is a problem, go to the court. Don't stay back like a doctor said. Don't stay back and say angels will come and vote for you. The angel will not come and go to court on your behalf. Go and tell everybody, if these things are hidden, come out and make it a matter of public record. Let us understand your grievances. Let us know where the problems are. You may be able to shed light in some places where other people cannot see. How will we find out if you keep it to yourself? No. PDP must go to court and they must put their case before the court. Let all Nigerians see. Yes, let all Nigerians be privy to all of these allegations. Let us know where the problems are so that we can, as a people, come together and put our voice and say, this is unacceptable if this actually happened. And we will not know if it is not taken to court.
Okay, all right, Dr.
Yeah, thank you very much. I like what my friend Mr. Ahmed said, that PDP must go to court. It's like insisting that when you spank your child and the child don't cry, you insist that you must cry. you insist that the child must cry, and you do everything you can to provoke the child to cry. I think that it is not a question of must. I think, like I said, they should assess the situation and see if they will get anything from it. Remember, I'm not so much concerned about if they are getting anything from it, but the impact on that on our policy and economy. Because as long as that case is in court, this president is going to consider on May 29 or June 12, depending on which one they want to now.
May 29.
May 29.
Okay, we know yes. This June 12 issue.
Yes, Democracy Day.
We get to find out the implication of that. But the point here is, if you do that, everything will stand still in Nigeria. And you see, from time immemorial, the fourth election, some sets in APC have told some sets in PDP the possible outcome of this election, and that when it does, they should go to court. Do you understand? They were in a forum like this, and you say, look, when it happens, you do what? Go to court. It's like saying, look, we're already waiting for you. You go to court, and we will know what to do. The point here is, I am not casting any aspersion on our judiciary, but I'm just saying for the interest of Nigeria and Nigerians, and for the future, because a lot of things have gone down, well, in quotes, gone down the drain in the last 1 year because of election. Everything has been still. And, and then we can't continue again like this. We have another 4 years ahead of us. I think that the winners should be magnanimous to allow the losers to be part of the system, to work together to achieve our common goal. And then whoever has lost in this election must take it in good faith and encourage their members not to take acts of violence. And of course, they should re-strategize. I keep saying that re-strategize and see the possibility of coming back. Buhari, for instance, contested 4 times before he became president. He's been contesting. He kept re-strategizing and aligning with other parties until the CPC and the...
and he went to court every time.
But the question is, for the period they went to court, Nigerians stood still.
I don't agree with that.
Well, that's my opinion. Nigerians stood still. And then, just to make this last comment, you will notice that he didn't come to power by going to court in 2015. He didn't go to court. He won, and the incumbent, President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, decided to do what the average Nigerian will not do. And that took the hit of the burner. And today he's been celebrated, and Nigerian democracy is being celebrated all over the world. And I think that we should draw a clue from that. Okay,
just before we wrap up now, I think we need to see that video one more time. The PD should let us see the announcement as announced this morning by the Inec chairman, Professor Yakubu Mahmoud. So let's see that video one more time so that we'll just make preparations to draw this discussion to a conclusion. The PD, please, let's see that video one more time.
To the results from more states, APC won in Kano, Katsina, Kaduna, Niger, Jigawa, Bauchi and Lagos. The opposition candidate Alhaji Atiku Abubakar won in Edo, Abia, Ondo, Enugu, Ebonyi, Anambra, Oyo, Adamawa, Plateau, Benue, Imo and Ogun states.
PDP 275691. PPA 461. Thank you very much, Scope for Edo.
Other results are expected to be announced by Inec. Patience.
All right, thank you one more time, Patience, for that announcement there. Now, as we wrap up now, I did tell you that by 2 p.m. this afternoon, the returning certificate is going to be presented to President Muhammadu Buhari as the winner of Saturday's election. And also we prepare for the next election. That's going to be on Saturday. Now, Madam Dr. Mrs. Stella, so how can we begin to prepare for Saturday's election the way things are?
Like I said before, they should listen to the feedback of the people. They should look into where there were loopholes and try to correct them. the logistical problem they had, they should try as much as possible to correct them before that time. Okay. Let EOs, electoral officers of each local government, check whether materials are complete for each polling unit, and then they should beef up security to protect the electorate and also the ad hoc staff. If they feel that the policemen will not be enough, they can engage the army. Whether we like it or not, we still need some armed men at each polling unit because of these thugs who come in armed. You cannot tell me that we deploy security men with that arm to a polling unit when thugs are all over the place, you know, to cause havoc. And then the last thing I also want to say concerning that is Nigerians should avoid vote buying. Vote selling. They should not sell their votes.
I think
let me tell you, we didn't talk about that.
We didn't really see that.
You did not see. You did not see, my brother.
Yeah.
It's not done in the open.
My brother, I saw things that made me to have headache. At the time I was begging people, stop this. They were paying what Nigerians had not seen before. Hungry Nigerians. Oh, yes.
But what did you do? I mean, you are a civil rights activist.
What am I saying now?
What did you do?
What did I do? I had to appeal to some persons, that please don't do this.
But you would have reported to the security agents.
So which security agents?
Just hold on.
If I had tried it, I'm sure you wouldn't have seen me here today.
But you would have tried it.
I shouldn't have tried it because I just gave an instance of security being compromised. In fact, at a time we were no longer sure of, who was who. I wasn't so sure of the person standing next to me, whether the person was going to point out a gun behind me because of the way the whole place was porous. But, we should just put all these things into consideration. What I want to say is that INEC should listen to the voices of the people. And then government also, I want to congratulate the president for the re-election, but he should please, everything Nigerians complained about concerning his government, he should try and look inward if actually it is factual. Let us not live in denial to say that they can go to hell. After all, we are the people who elected them. Yes. The least they can do for us, sir, is to make us to be a little comfortable. Listen to the complaints of Nigeria and try as much as possible to build upon it and try and improve upon it. That's my own take concerning this whole thing.
Now, Mahmoud, Saturday's election, for some people, they've started expressing their worry, probably from this character that state governments seem to have over elections in their state. I mean, Saturday's election, you have the governorship election in some states, then of course the House of Assembly election in some other state. Now, do you see the possibility of state governors probably really taking charge of that election at the expense of the wish of the people?
So, fortunately, we've come to the point where a good number of the people who actually come out to vote know that the responsibility to choose their leaders sits on them. So I'm going to want to sit on what Madam has said and say, we will encourage people to come out and vote. Like Doctor said too, the more people come out to vote, the less the opportunity for people who want to subvert their will is provided for them. Governors have a lot of powers. We are all aware of that fact. And every election is very local. So ultimately, the elections are a test of the popularity of the governor, and nobody wants to appear unpopular when he's in power. Okay. So we have to find the right balance between allowing them to speak properly, which means a large voter turnout, so that the opportunity to subvert the will of the people does not exist. Okay. So we need to encourage, we need to allow each other to come out and vote. Come out and express yourself. It doesn't matter who you are voting for. Your presence there alone is already a deterrent to the people who do not want you to choose your leaders. Okay. So we cannot overemphasize this fact. Come out and vote. Your presence is required. And then one person cannot subvert the will of the people. Hopefully, that is what we will see on Saturday.
All right, Dr. Look at Saturday's election.
Yeah, I want to align myself to the two speakers. I think that what Edo people should do is to sensitize themselves Let fathers encourage their children who are of age. Let children encourage their parents, encourage your friends. Let's all turn out. Let the turnout be massive. And let's go out and vote the candidates of our choice. Let's also avoid any form of inducement. Yes, people are going to throw money around. Avoid the temptation. I know that a lot of people are experiencing economic hardship and as such, any money you give them will make some meaning to them. But they should understand that, see, that money can't sustain them for the next 4 years. And so they should vote for whoever they think will push their interest.
Yes.
My take in this presidential election is quite amazing, and I think I must celebrate the electorate for this. They didn't vote according to party lines. They voted for individuals. Okay. So you will notice that in some states, a particular party will win presidential, another will win House of Rep, another will win Senate. And to have voted, you know, in some states, incumbent governors were voted out in terms of those who contested for Senate. Yeah. And you know, it's amazing that the voters have power. And I think that the voters must be told that, see, whoever becomes your House of Assembly member in Edo State in this Saturday's election depends on you, the voter. So pick your card and go out, vote whoever you want to vote. After you have finished voting, if the area is not safe, please go home. We don't want a situation where we will lose any life. Life is very sacred to us, and we should not allow any politician to underplay the importance of of life. It's very important. So please, if there are no security personnel on ground, make a phone call. We all have calls, DPO, phone numbers, and commissioner. Let them send security personnel to those places so that lives can be protected. In fact, lives should be protected first before ballot papers. Okay. I don't want a situation where we are protecting ballot papers and people are dying for ballot papers. It's an abnormality.
Okay, Dr. Mrs. Omonigo, now let's try to set agenda for the new president, so to say, President Muhammadu Buhari. So where would you want to start from?
I would like to start from the educational sector. Okay. There was something I experienced, you know, at this past elections. The youth corpers they use as presiding officers could not spell correctly.
But you say some, not.
You know, let me just say most of them. I mean, when I mean most of them, you know why I say most? Let me give an example.
And probably where you voted.
He worked as an ad hoc staff, you know, in Delta State. And he was able to get some reports from some of the presiding officers who had issues in their polling units. And when we're going through this report, I wish he brought some of them so that you could view them on TV. It was terrible. So the major thing I saw was there was a problem there's a problem with our education sector. Whether we like it or not, we need to face it. So I want him to look seriously into education. We need to invest in our education. But when we are educated, we have lesser problems. The more educated people are, the lesser you have problems in the society. Yes. Education, you know, regulates the society in one way or the other. Even some of these half-baked, let me not use the word learned friends and everything, by the time they are well educated, they will be able to know where to apply what law. That is one. The second one is the economy. You know, and also the education is also is going to affect the economy. What I say by that, they must be able to identify competent people for different positions. You know, just before this discussion started, we said our president may have good intentions, but the people around him, how good are they and how competent are they? A leader cannot succeed. A leader cannot succeed on his own. A leader must be surrounded by good people. People of vision, of the same vision and mission with him for him to succeed. He may have good intentions, but when he doesn't have the right people around him, things will start going wrong. And so he should be able to know people of integrity, people of the same vision with him, people who have passion for the people, for him to put in various positions. Let positions go across Nigerians, across Nigeria, because we are all Nigerians. It should not be concentrated on a particular part of the country. Let it go around. Let people feel that there is this transparency and equity in his governance this second term. Whatever he did wrong in the first tenure, where people complained, he should look into it and also, you know, what about infrastructures? I know he tried, you know, in some areas in infrastructure, but he can also improve upon it. Talking about giving contracts to credible contractors, not contractors that will work, you know, and do half hazard work or just do it anyhow and just abandon it after being mobilized. he should concentrate on infrastructure. Let us see a difference between the first tenure and the second tenure.
Right.
And then concerning security, lastly, security is very, very, you know, is a major thing in Nigeria. You should be able to give us the assurance that, you know, where security went wrong in the first tenure. In fact, security should be his #1 agenda now, especially in the places that were most affected. Let me quote him. In his first tenure, he said that people who did not vote for him, let me not quote him, but I know paraphrase, let me use the word paraphrase, that, you know, he concentrated on some persons where he won the election. It should not be it should not be biased. It should be objective.
It came out to further explain.
No, let him just be objective. Whether he won in Lagos or he did not win in Edo State, he should treat everybody equally. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
All right, Mahmoud, the campaign manifesto was tagged next level. So this is the next level now. But where exactly do you think PMB should start from?
Well, I think his focus, the focus of the administration has been primarily security, the economy, and infrastructural development. And as most people will attest to, on 3 of the fronts, even though we may not have scored 100%, we have definitely done better than the average 4 years compared to any other administration before this time.
What about in the area of security?
There is a lot.
What about in the area of security?
If you want to discuss the area of security specifically,
that's a very big challenge.
Good, let us talk about security specifically. Yeah. Before this administration came in, we had 22 local governments, one of which is the size is bigger than Paris, was under insurgency. They were flying the flags of a different government, not Nigeria. But now that is no more the case. That area has been, and they came out to vote. They came out to vote in appreciation for the efforts of this administration. While security is an enormous task, it only takes a little to fail in security, but it takes a lot more to secure the lives of people.
Mahmoud, you know, one thing I've discovered with the APC, any APC person, you tend to tackle him or her with issue of security. He tends to look at the issue of Boko Haram. Now, the Fulani cattle herdsmen, you know, was a very big challenge to PMB. So what is the guarantee that in the next 4 years that Nigerians are going to sleep with their eyes closed on the issue?
Unfortunately, when you want to tag crime, you say Fulani herdsmen. There was a lot of laziness around that Fulani herdsmen thing. A lot of the crime was committed by herdsmen. Not necessarily only Fulani are herdsmen.
Yeah, but we are talking about
security. Let me, you asked a question.
No matter the language we are talking about security.
The language determines the kind of, the language determines,
yesterday we saw reports of,
the language determines the kind of, the language determines the kind of conversations that we have.
But that does not stop that there are killings.
So if you had said to me killings, I would not have responded the way I did. Insecurity is... but you said Fulani herdsmen.
Okay, we're talking about loss of lives.
Good. We want a secure nation. Okay. I am sure that that is the ultimate objective of any administration, to secure the lives of the citizens under its care. There are pockets of violence. There are places where there are traditional... there is violence that has become traditional and recurring. All these things must be looked at and addressed holistically, so that they don't continue. Nobody wants anybody, his neighbor, his friend, or even just an ordinary citizen to die needlessly.
All right, so what you are saying is that you want him to start from the area of security.
You're answering my question for me.
No,
Yes, I want him to start with security. Okay. He must continue to extend the frontiers of security until everybody feels safe.
30 seconds because of time factor. Yeah, quickly.
Well, I think that, first of all, I cannot overlook the issue of security. I think that in these next 4 years, PMB must ensure that every Nigerian is safe, and that means that the life of the Nigerian, it should be more sacred than the cow. That's one. Number two, it's important for us to pursue a country where there's equality. Okay. And I think that the political class are living far above the average Nigerian, and that should not be. For instance, the National Assembly were supposed to resume yesterday, and immediately they adjourned till March 12th.
But they couldn't form a
quorum. Hold on. And the issue is, we have a rule in Nigeria of no work, no pay. If they don't work, it sounds funny, but you see, it is high time we start holding
yes.
our politicians
to the same standard of
rules,
normal life. Yes.
Let the senators and the House of Representatives miss their salary for February or for March.
I agree with that completely. Yes.
Of that. Okay. So again, lastly, just a moment. I need to also state the issue of employment. Last year, unemployment grew from 18% to 23, about 23% in Nigeria. It rose astronomically to about 5%.
Well, so we're going to continue this conversation because of time. Look at Sado, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Please extend the handshake down.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So
congratulations, Nigerians. Congratulations.
All right. So just like what I said earlier, that Nigerians are the real victims as far as this election is concerned, or the elections are concerned, because we're going to have another one on Saturday, and let us all come out so that we vote for the right candidates of our choice. My name is Evans Nokuge. Please stay tuned.